Hey, let's talk about the Alibaba and Tencent rivalry. So for those of you who have been following me since 5 or 6 months ago, initially at the genesis of this entire YouTube channel, I've been going quite in-depth into this entire competitive landscape of Alibaba. Alibaba versus JD versus Pinduoduo versus TikTok, its C competition with Shopee, etc, etc. And I haven't been really focusing a lot in terms of the discussions there because there really isn't anything substantial that's developing. And like I put previously, Tencent is essentially running a proxy war on Alibaba because as you guys know, JD.com and Pinduoduo essentially just write off the entire Tencent ecosystem to essentially monetize the entire consumer base of Tencent via their WeChat app and WeChat payment system. So of course, recently, as we all know, the regulators have been intensifying their crackdown and intensifying a lot of all these monopolistic behaviors and trying to essentially ask them to get out of their walled garden. And there are substantial steps being taken and to help ensure that these two little brothers in China, which is Alibaba and Tencent, to try to work more together and to provide more prosperity and to provide more growth ultimately for the entire country rather than just profiting their own businesses. So in this case, let's observe what they've done. So China's Tencent say that it will make it easier to share links to rivals on WeChat. After Beijing's pressure tech giants, the messaging app will make it easier to share Alibaba's listing. So Tencent Holdings said it will gradually remove some competitive barriers from its WeChat services. So the change came after Beijing made it clear this week that companies must stop blocking links leading to rivals' services on their apps. And it is part of the authorities' efforts to curb the power of the Chinese consumers giants by tearing down the virtual curbs they have built in recent years. So in July, I think Wall Street Journal also did talk about Tencent and Alibaba considering to open up their services to one another. So with that, China's consumer internet was largely split into two camps. Tencent's WeChat app, which has around 1 billion active accounts, 1 billion by the way, 1 billion with a B, the entire world population only has 7 billion, so essentially it's 1/7 or 1/8 of the entire world population using WeChat. That's the scale that WeChat and that's the influence that WeChat has. And they also don't allow users to share links for Alibaba's Taobao merchandise or ByteDance's short video platform Douyin. So in this case, Tencent said in its statement on Friday that users can access external links in the one-to-one conversation as long as the links comply with the government rules and other regulations. So the move marks the beginning for Chinese technology company to open up to their rival services. On the flip side, one of Alibaba's main competitor, which is JD.com, also doesn't accept Alipay, which is a popular payment app run by Alibaba's financial affiliate, Ant Group. And in this case, you can see that they're essentially just blocking each other off. So letting users share external link to rivals in one-to-one chat still represents only a limited opening as many users would prefer to share with groups. Tencent is developing functions to make it convenient for users to choose personal settings. So Tencent's president did say that they are being very cautious in opening its services to other companies' platforms because of complications such as different platforms charging different fees from merchants. So honestly speaking, I would just like to say that this entire last sentence was just them trying to protect their ass. They're just trying to, in their last struggle, try to maintain some sort of dominance and some sort of monopoly, and at least try to portray the image that, hey, they are working with competitors, they are working with regulators, they are making things easier, they are trying to break down all these barriers. But I'd like to say, it will definitely be a differentiator approach. And this entire idea of breaking down the walled garden will be a very long pursuit. They will not instantly, at the snap of the fingers, allow Alibaba to infiltrate into the entire WeChat system. On the same note, Alibaba is definitely not going to allow JD and Pinduoduo to get access to all the convenience and value add they provide in the Alibaba ecosystem. So if possible, in the editing process, I'm going to pull out something that I said previously about this entire idea of a differentiator approach. So to be sure, plans on both sides are still fluid and the companies could still decide to maintain the status quo. So I highlighted this in blue because I would really like to say that, hey, nothing is confirmed and everything is just rumored. I would really suspect that by allowing Alibaba into the Tencent's ecosystem would really prove to be a very hard pill for them to swallow. Vice versa, by allowing Tencent into the entire Alibaba's ecosystem would also make them uncomfortable and uneasy. Even though it might be an attention-grabbing headline, I would really suspect in the near term or in the near future that there are a lot of inter-platform restrictions. They are definitely not going to grant blanket authority and blanket access to all the different ecosystems. Because if that is the case, what would then be the value proposition of the individual company? So I am actually highly skeptical about this entire collaboration and partnership, because I would see that the entire ecosystem is their value proposition. By allowing their nemesis in, it would heavily discount all the different value propositions that they currently offer. But in this entire potential collaboration, I think Alibaba would stand to gain more than Tencent itself. Because of this entire WeChat ecosystem right now, Alibaba do not own any prominent social media app. By allowing Alibaba access to the WeChat ecosystem, I think that would be phenomenal to the entire Alibaba's business. But I would still remain highly skeptical about Tencent allowing full access to all the WeChat ecosystem to Alibaba's platform. But I would like to say that this first step of opening up, even though it's one-to-one, and we all know influence and scale only achieved when you are sending links or sending things or sending articles in a group chat, and because that's when you have 30, 50 or even 100 people in an entire group chat, and you achieve scale at a much faster pace. If you were to see something good on Alibaba and you wish to share on WeChat, and then if you share one by one, it's basically extremely inconvenient. And of course, Tencent with a very good PR team, they'll come out and say that, we want to protect merchants, we want to protect the consumers, we are afraid that they might not know what they're getting themselves into, etc, etc. So this will continue playing out in the near term, but I remain extremely hopeful and optimistic for Alibaba to actually benefit from this opening up, because having one additional outlet with 1 billion users will probably bring more good than harm to Alibaba. But of course, we have to also understand the flip side. By allowing JD.com or Pinduoduo to start using Alipay, it will inevitably create more convenience for those consumers on the respective platforms, and which is also why I think Alibaba really have to focus on value creation rather than just trying to enact their own ecosystem and to block off everyone like Apple. So with that in mind, I'll see you in the next video, but more importantly, I'll see you on the moon. Goodbye!